Welcome back to Texas Weather Live. I'm meteorologist Kylie Capps, joined by our local arborist and tree expert, our weekly guest, Aaron Hoot. Aaron, thanks for being with us today.
Of course, happy to be here.
I'm really excited about today's topic, and you know why. We are talking weather, and we are talking how certain plants actually respond to different variations in the weather. And it's more detailed than you might think, okay? Yes, we have the four seasons, and every plant, every tree looks different based on what season it is. But what about those smaller scale features that impact our weather forecast, but also can have an impact on plants and trees right in your own backyard? I would argue plants are fairly sensitive when it comes to different changes in weather patterns. Is that correct?
Yeah, a lot of plants are very, very sensitive to changes in those kinds of things. Humidity, barometric pressure, temperature drop. There's some plants that even if you touch them, they close. So they respond to like the oils in our fingers and just touch in general. They got a lot more going on than most people give them credit for.
Yeah, for sure. And that, I mean, affects how your landscaping looks. You know, it can change from a day to day, especially if we're talking those smaller scale features like different weather aspects or the oil in your fingers, like you mentioned. So I want to focus first on pressure and how different changes in the atmosphere when it comes to pressure can have an impact on plants, specifically Texas sage. Talk to me a little bit about Texas sage, which I know are extremely popular because they are so hardy and they survive through our pretty rigorous seasons.
Yeah, Texas sage are awesome. One, they're native. Two, they don't need water. I mean, they get enough from the environment, even in a drought. We've planted some in our house, and we watered them just to get them established, and we never watered them again. And they're huge. We constantly have to prune them. They've also got such an attractive kind of gray, blue, green color to them. But yeah, those pink blossoms that they have is one of the big draws for a lot of people, and it's cool because it's not just a season and they're gone. You get them throughout the year and you get them randomly, unexpectedly, because they're sensing things like we talked about that we don't even notice.
I mean, some of those things that we notice can have an impact on, like you said, how they look. But what about summer storms? I mean, when you talk about changes in pressure associated with different storm systems, that's a big one. So what is the timing when it comes to those blooms, either before or after a summer storm? That's when those pink purpley blossoms come out.
Yeah, I mean, most people used to think it was kind of just the rain. As we've gotten better at science and weather prediction and investigation, and everything, we figured out that the humidity increase and barometric pressure decrease is really what triggers the bloom. So either right before or right after descent, depending on how the system is moving in or what kind of system it is, it'll encourage the blooms. And I mean, sometimes you'll get home and you'll be, oh my gosh, there's flowers everywhere, and then soon later there'll be a rainstorm, or right after it's done raining, they'll pop out. They're very responsive and very hardy trees or plants that they really do change quite a bit.
When it comes to the weather. I mean, especially across the South and West, where these plants are a little bit more popular, and we can have some big summer storms across the South and West. I mean, we're talking monsoon season across parts of Arizona, New Mexico. So again, that can contribute to the fact that Texas sage could look a little different on a day to day. Now let's chat about desert willow. What exactly is that type of a plant?
So desert willow is an ornamental sized tree for the most part. Gets about the size of a full grown crepe myrtle. They're very hardy, as the name would suggest. Desert, they can withstand long periods of drought. They don't need extra water. They have very attractive foliage and flowers, and so they really respond to moisture. So when they go, it's going to rain or it's just rained, they pop. Just like a lot of things in the desert go into kind of a stasis when it's hot and dry, and then as soon as there's signs of moisture, just flourish.
So not necessarily barometric pressure this time around for the desert willow, but a response based on humidity, based on moisture in the
Mhm.
atmosphere, or just a summertime rainstorm, which I mean, we can get in the peak heating hours of the afternoon, even if there's no big weather systems nearby. Pretty
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Next on
and
the list.
it really brings out for with these, they're such good pollinator plants that hummingbirds, bees, moths, all of them look to them for those sources of food. So it's not even just that the plant changes with the weather; it's that the available food sources pop open and become available with the storm, and really helps out our wildlife.
Which I'm sure can help to train the wildlife too to look for some of those signs. I mean, there are those wives' tales across the board that animals detect storms before humans do, right? And I think that would be very beneficial, especially when it comes to surviving out in the wilderness. We have
Hmm.
a Turk's cap next on the list. What is Turk's cap?
Turk's cap is probably arguably the best native shrub that there is. It's Texas native. It grows in the sun. It grows in the shade. Flowers pretty much all year. Doesn't need extra water. The plant is edible. I used to actually snack on them when I was working in native areas. They're just really incredible plants. They're very attractive too. They've got big leaves, kind of like a red bud, and the name comes from the tall flower that kind of resembles an old Turkish hat. They're fantastic pollinator bushes. If you have Turk's cap, you're going to have hummingbirds, you're going to have butterflies, moths, all of that. And again, they respond to moisture and to humid weather. So though they're already flowering pretty much regularly, you'll see bigger pushes of flowers, more flowers opening when you have a rainstorm.
Scarlet Pimpernel. Okay, this is called poor man's weather glass. So that tells me that maybe in the past, maybe folks used this kind of a plant to try to detect weather patterns before our technology improved so much.
Yeah, this one and the next couple are really, really good examples of this. They're old world plants, have been around for ages, and it's exactly that. It's something that people you will tell you it's about to rain. You have no idea. How do you know that? It's not possible. There's not clouds in the sky. And then, darn it, if they weren't right. And this is one where the flowers will close um, based on rainfall coming, and then open back up afterwards. Again, high humidity. It's a defense mechanism to protect their pollen. If the rain hits the open flowers, it'll wash out the pollen, and the plant won't propagate as well. So this plant has learned over time. Let's close up, protect that pollen. And I mean this one and so the next ones are sometimes it's like an hour ahead of time, hour, 2 hours. So it's
Wow.
really, really, really indicative of rainfall.
I mean, that is just fascinating to me. Morning glory, kind of similar, right? Those blooms also they close whenever a rainstorm or a thunderstorm is coming. But what I think is interesting about this type of plant too is in the mornings, right? They open, so that kind of contributes to the name, and then in the evenings they close, or whenever there's a storm system.
Yeah, these like you said, this is one that already is a very active flowering plant. It opens in the morning, closes in the evening. So if they don't open or they close very early, that's an indication that there's weather coming. And again, it's to protect the pollen. It keeps the pollen safe, and the conditions for pollination aren't ideal. They're going to just close up and say, nope, we're going to wait, and we're going to do that again tomorrow or after this storm passes.
So cool. Dandelion as well. They those buds can close with more humid or wet weather. Is that the same for the same reasons to protect that pollination cycle?
Yeah, this one it's same thing for the most part. This one's one that produces seeds more than others do, so it's actually producing the seed source, kind of like the next step. The blooms will close, the buds will swell, and just to protect those seeds, that it's not as beneficial for them to be dispersed during a rainstorm because they could wash away and everything. So it's one of those things where you're protecting your own, protecting your babies, really, and keeping them safe until it's safe to put them out again.
Gosh, that's just so fascinating to me. Next on the list, we have tulips and crocuses. Talk to me about what those do when it comes to changing weather patterns.
Kind of the same thing. I mean, they if it's cool, cloudy, rainy conditions, they close to protect their pollen and reproductive structures, keep from getting damaged. And as soon as it sun pops back out, it gets warmer again, they'll open right back up. So they're really an indicator of closed when it's dreary, open when it's sunny,
Yeah.
and there's just another real fun thing to watch.
And then clover, last but not least. I don't know much about clover. I know that there can be wild clovers, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. The most, I mean, there's clover everywhere. If you learn to look for it, you'll see it everywhere. I mean, everyone and their kid, they hear the adage about finding a four-leaf clover, and it's good luck and all that. And this one, it's not the flowers; it's actually the leaves that will fold up or droop down when there's a change in humidity and the water pressure is changing. And this is to reduce the water accumulation and protect them. I mean, some of these plants, this one kind of has gone as far as wet conditions improve fungal spread and diseases. So this is literally, I don't want any of that. I'm gonna close up and keep myself safe until it's safe to open again.
They're so smart, and being able to just keep the ecosystem going the way that it needs to. I mean, the fact that plants and trees and, I mean, animals, right? If we want to even broaden the gap a little bit more, have learned to adapt over time. It's so cool. So, what you're telling me, Aaron, is that we just plant a couple of these plants and you can be a meteorologist as well. You just
Yeah,
keep an eye on the blooms, you know when it's going to rain.
yeah. You could literally. There's a term called rain garden that's not for this, but you could make a rain prediction garden, and you could have all these plants in there. It would be
Cool.
gorgeous, lots of flowers, lots of pollinators, and you could be sitting there and be like, oh well, it's time to go in because my plants told me so.
Always a pleasure, Aaron Hoot. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Kylie.
And thank you for watching this afternoon's edition of Texas Weather Live. Stay tuned for Fox 4 News at 4.